Hey, this is Dr. Sho, the Japanese behaviorist. I want to talk about Goblin Slayer because it's amazing. It's got the action, it's got the characters, and it's got drama. But it's not a typical fantasy. What makes this series so unique and dark is the protagonist's obsession with goblins. His obsession makes him somewhat insane and inhumane. But there's something more to it. Being Japanese, I see divinity in his insanity. And here's how. Perhaps Goblin Slayer is one of the most controversial anime/manga series in recent years, and that's because it's violent and cruel. It's not pleasant to watch sometimes. But I would say what's more controversial is the protagonist's cruelty toward the goblins. And this makes me wonder, why would people love this? Goblin Slayer takes place in a medieval-like sword and magic world. In this world, there is a profession called adventurers. Their job is to fend off monsters that are dangerous to humans. And there are degrees of danger associated with the monsters. And the adventurers are ranked depending on what kind of monsters they can kill. For example, if you can kill a dragon, you will be high in rank. Whereas if you can only defeat a goblin, nobody's gonna pay attention to you. And the protagonist only kills goblins. And people look down on him because he never attempts to fight a stronger monster. People call him Goblin Slayer sarcastically. Now, if you just look at the storyline, the protagonist sounds like an unsung hero who takes care of a dirty job that nobody else wants to pick up. In fact, goblins are horrible. They kill villagers, they eat humans alive, they rape women, and they torture captives for fun. They are terrifying monsters. But treating the protagonist as an unsung hero doesn't completely explain his behavior. There's something extra going on. Something Japanese. If this is about unsung hero, it's about social justice. Unsung heroes do what they do for the goodness of the society. Teachers, garbage collectors, first responders, pest control workers, and so on. But Goblin Slayer is different. He will kill goblins even if they are not a threat to society. He will kill every single one of them whether or not society cares. No pest control worker will go on and extinct all the rats from the world or eradicate all the bedbugs from Earth. Goblin Slayer has something other than social justice. His behavior is not moralistic at all. He does all kinds of nasty things to goblins, and he even kills goblin children. We might justify his unethical behavior by saying that goblins are not humans. And it's true, we don't really care if a pest control person will kill a bedbug's eggs and babies. But goblins don't look like bedbugs, they look like bandits. A cowboy will kill a bandit, but he will not kill bandits' children. Moreover, if this is a typical Japanese moral story, it would expect harmony. You expect the protagonist to give pity to goblin children. And it is possible down the line that the protagonist actually discovers that the goblins are tameable and he doesn't have to kill baby goblins. What would happen to the protagonist if that's the case? In any case, the protagonist's obsession makes him insane and inhumane. But what's even more strange is that some of the female characters develop a romantic feeling toward him. Why would they like him? He's quite crazy. This is because, to the Japanese eyes, Goblin Slayer is a professional who is obsessed with his work. Even though he does inhumane things, the Japanese sees his attitude and effort as something sacred. A person who is obsessed with his job is seen as a type of monk, and female characters admire that aspect of Goblin Slayer. The Japanese believe that if you pursue your profession to perfection, you can reach nirvana or a pure spiritual state. A person who is on the way to nirvana is considered divine. This is manifested in Japanese Zen, and Goblin Slayer is on his way. I'm not advocating that it's a good thing to be obsessed with one's profession. In fact, many of them sacrifice their families and social lives for the sake of their obsession. Goblin Slayer's attitude toward goblin children is not okay. But at the same time, they are considered being outside the social norms, just like monks. And the Japanese pretend not to see that negative aspect in them. What's uniquely Japanese about it is that they get obsessed with their jobs and believe that the perfectioning the jobs will lead to the spiritual path. Artists, artisans, martial artists, performers, musicians, and more and more. Japanese insanity happens within the boundary of a job. So it is no mistake that the characters in Goblin Slayer don't have names. The protagonist introduces himself as Goblin Slayer and everybody calls him by that title. And other characters are also called by the job titles. And this goes with this Japanese philosophy. This is very different from the Western way of being crazy. In the West, you go out of the boundary. People will praise you if you redefine the genre or if you establish a whole new genre. In Japan, you are praised for becoming a mastery of the genre or going in depth of the genre. It's interesting to see that the way of being crazy has a cultural influence. Of course, Goblin Slayer is much more than just being insane, but I think it's interesting to think that insanity is culturally shaped. Goblin Slayer's behavior is partly justified and admired because he is on the way to divinity. So, what is your obsession? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. ありがとうございました。